I don't know if you've noticed this, but I love anime. I know most of my videos say otherwise, but trust me, I very much still love this medium. Just because you like something doesn't mean you can't point out its flaws. In fact, I think if you truly like something, you should be able to see and acknowledge its flaws so that it has a chance of maybe improving itself. Not that a Japanese corporation would ever notice a small channel like mine, but not the point. However, the topic of discussion today is not going to be these wonderful works of art from Japan because while I am a fan, I have other interests too. One of them being cartoons. Sure, I might not be 100% up to date with them as I am with anime, but I usually still end up checking them out no matter how late I am. Because I'm consuming media to be entertained, goddammit. I'm not trying to reach some algorithm, I just want to be entertained. I just want to watch them at my own time, at my own leisure, okay? Leave me alone. That being said, although I do like modern cartoons, because admittedly there are a lot of good ones, to me, nothing beats kicking back and going through some of the classics of my childhood. Which brings us to this lovely gem of a show. Monster Allergy was an Italian comic book series created by these people, eventually getting turned into a cartoon that first aired in 2005, and it was produced by Future Recon, Rainbow, M6, Rye Fiction, and ZDF. I'm not too sure on how popular this show was, but I'm speculating that it was probably a flop, considering that I haven't really seen anyone talk about it. Not to mention that the entire series has been uploaded to YouTube, and although each episode gets more views than I ever will, majority of it's still pretty low, all things considered. I personally really loved this show. Sure, I enjoyed my fair share of Ben 10, Teen Titans, and a bunch of other really iconic stuff, but this show in particular, I was completely obsessed with. It used to air every single day in my country, and I almost never miss an episode, no matter how many times I've seen it. I think the only reason I never cried to my parents to get me merchandise of it was because I never came across any. Again, another indicator that it probably wasn't that well known. With all that said and done, I'm sure you get the idea that this series holds a very special place in my heart, and it was in desperate need of a revisit. So, just like I did with Modern Mystery, we're going to be going through the first episode together and see whether or not it still holds up to the amazing image I had of it in my childhood. So, without further ado, let's get cracking, my dudes. The episode begins with an overhead shot of a huge city known as Big Burg, where we're given a few more panning shots of the hustle and bustle of the city before cutting to a smaller part of town. This is Old Mill Village. I'm not entirely sure about the design choice, but considering the show's origin, I'm guessing this is supposed to depict a suburb somewhere in Italy.
Zeke! Hurry up, dear! You're gonna be late! Coming! It's your first day of school. Let's try to start off on the right foot.
Oh my, I think I know why I was so obsessed with this show now. This is Zeke, 10-year-old schoolboy and our main character for today. Right off the bat, we can kind of get a good feel for his character while he's fumbling about the house trying to get himself in order. As he's looking for his shoes, we're given a hint that there's more going on than meets the eye. We then cut to a school that's literally just called Old Mill School, where we see a father dropping off his daughter for the day. This is Elena Potato, the new girl in town and our second main character.
Hey guys, check this out. A new girl.
Nice line delivery, buddy. They pull a prank on her, but she seems to try and not let it get to her. She then meets literally the most disturbing yet oddly hilarious duo in the show.
Hi! Huh? My name is Patty. And I'm Maddie.
Come play with us, Daddy.
The two of them give Elena a relatively pleasant welcome, telling her about the people who could be potential friends, as well as the people to avoid.
These are the okay people, the so-so people, and those to avoid. There's only one name on your blacklist. Zeke. Who is he? Oh, he's your neighbor, but don't worry about him. He doesn't have many friends anyway.
Now let's get the elephant out of the room. I know I just made fun of it, but I'll be more straightforward this time. The voice acting is terrible. Not just the performance, but the dubbing as well. This problem wasn't that prevalent in Modern Mystery because that show had an animation style similar to an anime, where it contained more complex designs, but with less actual motion, particularly the lips, as they're just opening and closing for the most part. Traditional cartoons, however, go for a more simplistic look, but with much more mobility. Considering the show was from Italy at first, the lip flaps were probably meant to accommodate that language, so when it's dubbed into English, it just comes out as awkward. This results in the voice actors having to read their lines either so painfully slow or extremely hastily so that the timing of the voice will match the timing of the animation. This doesn't entirely ruin the viewing experience, but it does kind of get distracting at times.
He lives alone with his mom and a hairless cat in this contaminated house.
Okay, how are these guys bullies? Seriously, these two look like they'd be the ones to get bullied, and this guy looks like a school shooter. It just doesn't add up. But sure. Anyway, class begins, and we're given one of the laziest setups to a friendship I've seen in recent time.
It's nice to see you all again. Hi. Morning, Zeke.
That's him? Interesting. What? Interesting?
He literally just slammed the door to her face by accident. How does that make him interesting? So after school that day, Elena decides to try and get to properly know her new neighbor by befriending their cat with hers. It unfortunately doesn't go so well, as the neighbor's feline is, unsurprisingly, kind of an asshole. Like cats in general.
But first, you've got to do me a favor. Come on, Percy.
I think this is getting a bit much for a civil house visit.
He was playing with your cat, and then he got stuck in the door and...
Yeah, no problem. Bye.
My name's Elena. I'm your new neighbor. We go to school together. We're in the same class.
Huh. Okay, bye.
Hey, nice house.
I've got to shut the door now. The wind is blowing in a lot of dust.
Oh my god, take it down a notch, girl! I know he interests you for some reason, but this scene's starting to look like something straight out of Future Diary.
Huh, this guy's not weird. He's just plain rude.
Yeah, honestly, I think what he did was perfectly justified. Before she can leave, however, she manages to catch unusual things taking place. The atmosphere starts to get a bit disturbing before she finally sees this and runs off. Turns out, Zeke is living in a house filled with monsters. The problem, though? Only he's able to see them, as they are bound by an invisibility rule to stay out of the eyes of humans. As for why Zeke can see them, it's partly because he's allergic to them, and partly because, well, that would require me to delve into something that's revealed in later episodes, and since I'm only reviewing the pilot, I won't go into further detail. Zeke seems to have appreciated Elena's effort to make friends, but his cat, Timothy, seems to disagree with him, as it's revealed he's actually a talking cat.
She tried to shove her nasty fur ball into our house just to spy on us.
I thought she was nice.
Nice! Problem, son?
Ghost! Ghost! Oh wait, no. It's just Grandpa and Grandma. Zeke tells them that the whole thing was a little strange, since no one had ever gone to such lengths to get to know him, and his folks encourage him to make friends. How lovely. We skip ahead to the next day at school, where Elena is putting up posters for her lost cat. Oh, okay. I guess that happened off screen. However, she has another encounter with these troublemakers.
Hey guys, did you see that? Ooh, Miss Spudnose has lost her kitty cat. Spudnose.
Okay, seriously, how are you three not the ones being bullied? She tries to ignore them, but they end up getting into a spat after she hears them make fun of Zeke, causing her to stand up for him. Luckily, the man of the hour himself shows up and diffuses the situation.
I had no idea she was your friend. Sorry for being rude, but that's just the way we are. I agree, violence is nasty, but it's a quick way to get what you want. The world is so competitive, Zeke.
Just don't let it happen again.
Hey, of course, but, can I still make fun of you? I have a reputation to live up to.
After saying that out loud, I doubt you have to worry about that. The two end up walking home together after school, where they partake in some much-needed bonding time.
Oh, that. Boo. Well, I still have no idea why you were fighting.
He helps her put up missing posters, and they take notice that a lot of other pets have gone missing as well. Specifically dogs. Soon as they take notice of this, though, Zeke gets a weird vision, but shakes it off at first. Needing a break, they stop by a diner to get some grub. The store owner tries to cheer them up and asks them if they'd like to take in a stray puppy.
But a bulldog is like a cat, except it barks and looks like a dog.
Tower of God is just like Hunter x Hunter, except he has terrible characters and does basically everything worse. Elena turns down the offer, but Fred the mailman says he'd be willing to help find them a good home. Things take an unpleasant turn, though, as Zeke spots a ghost dog and runs off in panicked fear. Yeah, I don't blame him. He locks himself at home, and the ghost dog leaves him alone after some yelling. His grandparents try to reason with Zeke that he probably needed help and knew there was something special about him. They leave it up to him in the end, though, telling him that the search for the truth can be too big of a job for a single person. Wink wink. Later that day, Zeke gets back to Elena and apologizes for what happened. She forgives him easily enough, and he reveals to her that he can, in fact, see monsters, and that he wasn't crazy.
Are you making fun of me too?
Not at all. I believe in monsters and I believe in you.
Good. That'll make it so much easier for us to work together.
Zeke gets another visit from the ghost dog, however, and they speculate that someone could be kidnapping pets, possibly a restaurant. Wow, a Chinese man in town? Talk about a diverse cast. I am not sorry. They decide to take a look at the most well-known restaurant in town, where the owner is said to be a little grouchy. Elena says he looks like a cat eater, whatever the hell that means, and they investigate the place. Polka dots. Good choice. They get caught and they end up retreating to try again later. As they're hiding and biding their time, the ghost dog pays another visit and tells Zeke that he's on the right track, and then he needs to hurry. Zeke notices Elena's ribbon and gets visions as he holds it. Realizing it was a ribbon one of the puppies was wearing, he comes to the conclusion that the mailman might have given them away to the wrong kind of person. Through Zeke's abilities, they're able to pinpoint a house that the puppies might be at, and they pay it a visit the very next day. Conveniently, no one's home when they arrive, allowing them to sneak in. But not everything goes smoothly, as they're seen breaking in by Maddie and Patty. Zeke is able to find out that the owner of the place was someone who hated animals, but they're not able to make any substantial investigation before he gets back. A policewoman shows up at the door, having been informed by the twins about what they saw, and it's revealed that the house owner was, unsurprisingly, the mailman. She takes a look around the house and finds Zeke and Elena hiding in the closet. It would appear that they're about to be arrested, but the mailman's letter stash comes piling out, and well, things fall apart for him pretty fast.
So, friend, enough! The mail is mine, all mine. The nasty doggies will never get it. And I won't rest until they've all been sent far, far away from here, once and for all. Zanzibar, Sydney, Anchorage.
Talk about spilling your guts, dumbass! He's promptly arrested, but Elena still grills him on where her cat is. Lucky for her, Chatterbox over here hasn't finished evil monologuing yet, as he tells her he doesn't give a shit about her cat, only having a grudge against dogs.
What did you do with them?
Sent them right across the ocean. I made them take a nice little dive from the old mill bridge. But oh, I clean forgot to ask them if they could swim.
They run back over to the bridge, and it looks like they made it just in time. Elena tries to go to their rescue, but ends up getting in trouble herself, putting them both in a bind. As a last desperate effort, Zeke tries yelling for help, and well...
Yes, Master Zeke, what?
Well, shit! Never going near rivers ever again. So the giant monster carries them to safety and disappears back into the river. The owner of the restaurant comes to check out what's going on, and surprise, surprise, he's actually a nice guy, and takes in the puppies. The ghost dog thanks Zeke for his help, and he's finally able to rest in peace. With the whole mess behind them, the two head on home. Despite everything turning out well, Elena is still sad that she never actually found her cat. That is, until her parents come in.
Percy's back? Where was he? Had he run away? Was he hiding somewhere under the bed, in the basement, in the...
Okay, slow it down, girl. Just a little bit. As it turns out, Percy was hiding in the chimney the whole time, and was fine all along. All's well that ends well, I suppose. And that was Monster Allergy. It's silly, it's wacky, it's dumb, and it's honestly a whole lot of fun. Dubbing issues aside, the animation is colorful, the characters are a whole lot of fun, and if anything, I think the interesting premise is already enough to warrant a watch. It still has incredibly silly and dumb moments, but I don't think that's really something you can use as a fault, considering this was something made with the intention of entertaining children. Did it hold up to how it was when I was a kid? Honestly, yeah, it does in my opinion. If you're looking for an incredibly complex, plot-driven story with deep meaning behind it, then you're obviously not going to find that here. But if you're looking for a lighthearted cartoon with an overarching story in actual continuity, then I think you're going to have a lot of fun with this show. At the very least, I think it's definitely worth taking